Brian Eshleman, certified arborist, is going to demonstrate a safe way to remove a tree from the landscape. And we have this elm tree that has some damage, but we point out there's a few things that can get injured if we drop that tree. There's a Japanese maple and a fence. So how would you approach this tree to take it out safely without damaging anything around it?
Well, I'd trim out the top a little bit, knocking it down, basically topping it out, where we can kind of control the limbs on their way down. We're going to cut through a little way, about halfway through, and we're going to reach out and try to pull it down so that it doesn't fall all in one shot. Then we'll finish the cut at the end. That way we're not, doing any major damage. If we was to drop the whole tree, we could probably drop it this way. However, I think it's going to hit the fence.
Okay.
It may or may not damage the fence. That's why I would come in and kind of knock it down, so if we do, we just barely brush the fence.
Okay.
And that way I can control it. Maybe I can keep it from hitting the fence at all. That's what I'll probably do, is not hit the fence at all.
And when you cut through, you can actually kind of somewhat guide the direction those
if you
limbs are going
if you only cut about halfway through and you leave some of it on there, you can kind of pull it, and that will help you control it more. Some trees are different. This is an elm, so on a pine tree, it might break off quicker. Different wood does do different things.
Okay.
But this elm, though, I think we can control it pretty easily.
All right, well, let's take this tree down. Brian, as you were working, I noticed a few other safety precautions you took. Obviously, you were able to take everything down safely from the ground by using a pole saw. We don't want to be reaching over our head with a chainsaw.
Yep.
And every time you pulled a limb down, you moved it out of your way, removing a trip hazard.
When you're always doing this, you should always be conscious of where you're walking and what you're doing. And there's some rocks here too, so you gotta, you don't want to trip. And especially if you have a sharp object in your hand.
Absolutely.
So pulling, cutting them down, pulling them off, pushing them away. Also, when I was cutting this, we're taking the tree out, so I don't necessarily, it doesn't matter if I peel the bark or not, because it's coming all the way out. If you're taking a limb off at a tree you're going to leave, you want to do what they call a three-step method. You undercut the limb that you're taking off, and then you cut on the top side.
And that prevents peeling of the bark.
The peeling here that happens.
Okay.
And you leave a little bit of a stub when you do that, and then you come up and you make your finishing cut to cut that stub off. That'll
make a nice smooth cut.
Yeah, make a nice smooth cut, because you don't want to leave a big stub out there either.
So what are you going to do then to take the rest of the trunk out? What's the method you'll take?
I'll just get the chainsaw, and I'll probably put a little notch in the bottom of it and make a back cut. And I kind of want to avoid these plants. It's laying this way. It has no weight on it anymore, but it's still probably, since the lean is pretty good, it's probably going to want to go that way. So I'll probably leave a good hinge on it, and then I'll just push it by hand, because it's so relatively small, just to get it to land in here, so we can avoid, as much less plant damage as we can possibly avoid.
Okay. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for demonstrating safe tree removal for us today, and just remind our viewers that Anything over about 10 inches, we need to be sure to assess the situation, and if it can't be safely removed, to call an arborist for assistance.
Yes, 10 inches is I think that's a good scale, but there's also a height issue too. Now that I think about it, you know, if it's really tall, really close to something, those are other things to consider.
Always best to be safe.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.